It is December of 2024 and I've decided that I'm going to make a YouTube channel. I've had this account for a while and it's not actually technically the first time I've uploaded the video. In fact, when I was about 11, I was posting videos under the same email address connected to this account, which have long gone to the ether for my own sanity, of course. I had a long thought with myself, and there are many reasons that I decided that I thought that this would be a good idea. And I felt like, after a while, I needed a way to express myself creatively and share my creations in a way that felt separate from what I currently do, which is I am in a creative career. I am studying costume construction and I love it. However, I did do 2 years of film and I loved film. I've always loved it. I have a sincere passion for video editing, for filming, for setting up lighting and all of that. Costume happens to be my first love. It was the love. I was torn between studying film and fashion design at college. I chose film, and then when I went to move on to university, I decided, no, I do want to do costume. And in fact, the work that I did in my second year of college greatly was influenced by my interest in costume construction. So you might be wondering, why do this? What are you going to be talking about? What's the point? And I don't know if there is a point, truly. However, I've always been a creative individual and I've always wanted to find new means and new ways to share it, and I like sharing it with other people. However, the means of certain social medias, Instagram, TikTok, short form content is suffering, quite frankly. I hate doing it. I hate even the idea of calling sharing my work short form content, really. I've done illustration, I've done costume, I am also a fibre artist, and I share all of that work online, but the way that Instagram and TikTok function to me simply just don't satisfy my means for doing it. So, welcome. My name is Elliot. I am transmasc and I'm bisexual, and a while ago, I spoke to the people of Queer Ravelry, which is a LGBT notice board on Ravelry, and I mentioned that I felt like a lot of compilation blog posts, things like that, regarding like knitting for a partner, are all from the perspective of heterosexual women knitting for their boyfriends. And I went like, could anyone point me to resources that would be appropriate for things outside of that means, I wonder. And someone said, well, it seems that you've come across a problem, and you know, sometimes like you can be the change that you want to see. And in the words of Joe Lycett's dear friend,
sometimes if you want something to exist, you have to make it yourself. And I thought,
so it's not the new year quite yet, but I have indulged myself to finally start making videos, to start making a blog potentially. I've got a good name. It's the name of my fibre arts Instagram handle. It's called Queerasinhandknit, and if you get that reference, please stick around because I appreciate you. Yes, so I felt that making a YouTube channel was the natural progression of a way to share my passions and a way to explore interests of mine that aren't immediately related to my career and doesn't feel like something that I'm doing to network or grow my brand and things like that. And I have feelings about YouTube. When I looked into making YouTube videos as someone who's wanting to share my art, a lot of videos came up of, oh, how I make money, why YouTube's the best platform to grow as an artist. But that's not really my desire. My desire is to explore my creativity, to be able to share my feelings about costume and making and fibre arts and art in a way that feels natural and not is filtered and cut down and reducive. Is that a word? Reducive? I don't know. That YouTube, not YouTube, that Instagram and TikToks as platforms has kind of made art feel. And I think also this platform felt a lot more natural to me as someone who is a proud Tumblr user, because it seems a lot more authentic and people are willing to talk about what they want. I plan to talk about quite a few things on here. I think my main focuses are going to be fibre arts, of course, my knitting projects, which I've got some here today I'm going to show you in a second, and also exploring analytical analysis of costume, because that is something I really enjoy. And while I love my degree and I love making costumes, aspects of analysing and critiquing design aren't as prevalent within the curriculum, so I would like an outlet to explore that. One of the things that I've been wanting to do for a long time is I wrote an essay in my second year of college about the impact of the 2005 Marie Antoinette film on how period pieces costume themselves through the lens of like feminism and pop culture, and kind of the way that we have developed period dramas to reflect modern day pop culture and feminism. And I felt that I'm not gonna lie, I think it's a pretty strong essay, but generally I think as a visual medium such as costume, it would translate better to a video. So I'm going to take a crack at making a video essay, and depending on how much I like it, I may continue to make video essays in the future. I also felt like having kind of one channel in general is a good idea to kind of share some of my previous work, so I'm planning on re-uploading some of my old college films on here, as well as exploring avenues of like creatively showing the costume work that I am currently doing at university in a kind of new format, in a video format, something that like obviously it's available to us academically, but we don't often explore it. And I do feel that I would love to be able to design and make things with a project in mind, in terms of like video creation, which I think would really boost my creative abilities in costume making in general. So yeah, that if you're interested in costuming or fashion or fibre arts, or ranting about queer artists and pretty much any random shit that you can think of, I'd appreciate if you stuck around. So in terms of knitting projects, I've got a couple things going on at the moment that I'd like to share with you today. First of all, we've got this. I can't remember of the design exactly, but it's like something steps, the something steps hat, and it's a it uses mosaic knitting, and it's colour work. I have got these two lovely yarns as my main butler yarns. This is a hobby yarn. I can't remember the type of it. exactly, and this is called Wool Power Print. And then I've also got 2 balls of Hobby Alpaca Blaze, which I'm pairing with them. I'm kind of dubbing this my watercolour steps hat because while you can see the colour changes, they kind of bleed into each other, and I wasn't expecting it. I was kind of hoping for a higher contrast, but I do think it's really beautiful. So I think that's going to be really, really nice when that's finished. And I'm knitting that for my dad. I'm hoping to have that finished for Christmas. And speaking of my dad, I have also got this project right here. So this is the There and Back Again scarf, and as you can see, I'm knitting it on a higher gauge than the recommended pattern. So the recommended pattern uses a lace weight and 2mm needles, which, fuck that, quite frankly, I don't think I could cope. This is double knitting, so it is double-sided, as you can see. I'm very fond of it. I'm using, what sizes are these? I'm using 3.5mm needles, and this is a light DK, which really I could have used 4s, but even though this is labelled as being a light DK weight, it is quite fine. So I think this is appropriate, and as you can see, I think like it looks quite lovely. And I can't remember the name of this exactly, but I do know that it's a upcycled yarn, so it's made from recycled wool fibre, recycled polyester, and recycled acrylic, and then also it's got a recycled polyester from PET plastic bottles. And it was nice to see like the sources of the recycled fibres and where they'd come. So like on the label it had information about like where they sourced it. So the wool was from like garments which otherwise would have gone into landfill. One of the things with when you buy a lot of upcycled yarns, they like to be a little bit tricky about the source, because sometimes they'll go, oh, it's made from recycled acrylic. Fast fashion brands do this a lot, recycled polyester, and by recycled they mean scraps that would have otherwise been thrown away or thrown into landfill being then reused, rather than reusing like things in landfill and stuff like that, which is kind of, I don't like that people do that. So this was very nice. It's a very nice yarn. It feels very nice. You can tell that it's got about 30% wool content. It doesn't feel plasticky, which is nice, because I do tend to avoid acrylic and polyester based yarns unless there's like a very small amount of acrylic in it. I think my only exception is probably Hobbycraft's cotton acrylic blend, which is lovely. But yeah, I tend to avoid them because I have concerns about the environmental impact of using like heavily plastic yarns. But then also I'm not perfect. I drink out of plastic bottles all the time. So. And lastly, if you're on Dan and Phil Tumblr, you may have seen this. This is not on needles currently because this is the back panel, but I am working on a cardigan for the Terrible Influence tour. So if you know Dan and Phil, you'll see like I've got the VCR and then this says Terrible Influence. It's colour work. I did it by steeking, which is a method in which you knit it in the round and then you cut. Just because I could have done it with intarsia. However, fuck that. And secondly, fuck doing stranded colour work flat. So I did it like this. I have concerns about the sizing because, as you can see, it only kind of covers my front. So I do think that I'm going to need to knit in a gusset on the side when I assemble it, which I'm thinking of doing in a nice, I've got this funky, very funky, so this is Cascade 220 Superwash, and then Superwash Wave, which is the funky bits, and then I've got another skein of Superwash Wave in this kind of blue, green, turquoise colourway, and I think that would be really funky as a kind of contrast gusset, maybe in rib stitch, potentially. I think that would look very cool. If I'm going to have to add a gusset in, I feel like it should look like a feature rather than like kind of me haphazardly knitting it in these colours just to like be like, oh yeah, it's meant to be like that. No, I think it should like look quite interesting. My plans are, oh, you can see my floats at the back as well. Look at those. I'm quite proud of them actually. My plan for this is I need to design the front panels. I'm going to start working on the front panels soon because I want this to be done for when I see them in January, which is on the 19th. So I'm going to cast those on pretty quickly. To be fair, when I was working on this quite consistently, it only took me a couple days. So I want the front to be kind of same purple colour for the ribbing, and then this dark colour. And then I want to have kind of, you know, on old TVs when you used to get like a broadcast error and you'd get like the coloured bars. I want there to be like coloured bars on it in the like colour scheme that I've chosen, which I think I've got a photo of somewhere. I'll put it up here. And then additionally, on the sleeves, my plan for the sleeves is it's going to be the same, but it's going to be purple ribbing, this, and then the body of the sleeve is going to be in this light blue, and then I'm going to use the white again, and I'm on each sleeve, on one sleeve it's going to say, do you think we were a, so it says, do you think we were a terrible influence, which is the line from the trailer. I've put far too much thought into this. I truly thought that this was going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did it. And then one of my mutuals on Tumblr did an absolutely excellent, was it one of my mutuals? I don't know if it was one of my mutuals, but someone who I am mutuals with on Tumblr reposted, I believe, a jumper in which someone had written terrible influence on the front. That was very cool. I thought that was very nice, a kind of similar colour as well. But I was absolutely put to shame by, it was in the most recent Dan and Phil React to Fan Twitter video, but I saw it before that, this crochet cardigan with a tapestry of the poster image. And it's like photorealistic, and I remember sitting there and going, you motherfucker. Stop being so talented. And that person's work is absolutely incredible, and I don't remember their off the top of my head, but if I can find it I'll put it here, and if not, do go watch Dan and Phil React to Fan Twitter, because it is in there, the most recent one as of today. So yeah, those are my projects at the moment. I'm also working on a bright pink tailcoat for class. Yeah, all in all, this is kind of all over the place, but I hope you get a good idea of what I'm like, what I like to talk about. I'm looking forward to, I'm hoping to do at some point, I want to do a video on queer fibre arts designers, particularly queer knitting designers, because you don't get as many, like, there are a lot of queer crochet artists, and I think, you know, they deserve all of their flowers, of course, but I do think there's a tight-knit group, there's a tight-knit group of queer fibre artists, and I think they deserve to be celebrated and uplifted. And not that I'm gonna make much difference, but I hope that, you know, it makes people feel seen. You can see chapel right behind me, isn't that lovely? Yeah, right, so YouTube things. If you like my stuff, obviously I've only got the one video at the moment, but like hopefully stuff's coming soon, so subscribe for that, I suppose. And you can always like it. I don't know, don't do what you don't want to do. If you want, you can follow my illustration account, which is Terrestrielli. You can also follow my fibre arts account on Instagram, which is Queerasinhandknit. You can also follow my Tumblr if you want. My fibre arts Tumblr is bis-who-stitch. It was something else, but I no longer identify as a lesbian, so I was not going to continue using that as my handle. So yeah, that's me. Nice meeting you all. I'm gonna assume you said something back, I don't know. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.